We start this Week 3 recap in Ann Arbor, Michigan at Michigan Stadium in a top 10 matchup for the game between Ohio State and Michigan. It's an important game, not just in the standings for Ohio State and Michigan, but Michigan has some top flight recruits visiting for this game, so they're going to want to put on a performance and prove that their loss to Wisconsin last week was just a fluke and they're back in the thick of things from the national perspective. In the first quarter, Ohio State has the ball over midfield already on a 2nd and 10 for quarterback Kyle McCord, who fakes the handoff, and he is able to find his man, slot receiver Lorenzo Styles, for a 38-yard score for the Notre Dame transfer to put them up 7-0 early on in this one, which would be a very difficult score for Michigan to overcome early on, as their offense was pretty awful, going the first 2 drives on 3 and outs and only having 7 total yards in comparison to Ohio State and their 107 total yards. And one of the big stories of the day was just how ineffective the ground game was for Michigan. Blake Corum could not get anything going, so Michigan had to resort more to the explosive pass game if they wanted to move the ball against this Ohio State defense. Here on 2nd and 13, they get a play-action look. McCarthy's able to move, and he's able to find his man. He's able to slip a tackle and get all the way down to the 10-yard line and put Michigan in a spot where they would be able to get a field goal. Then with 30 seconds left in the half, J.J. McCarthy is able to find his man and get a first down and keep the offense moving, looking to still score here to make this a 10-10 game at halftime if possible. They'd get into the hurry up. Not a lot was working for him on the ground, so J.J. McCarthy was really slinging it and had a nice day in the first half. And on this look, he is able to get this one deep and find the seam in the middle of the field like he had earlier, and they are able to tie this one 10-10, going into halftime with only 20 seconds remaining in the half. There's no way Ohio State could manage points before then. Well, that's where you're wrong. On 2nd and 4, Kyle McCord is able to find his man out of the backfield, and they are able to get all the way close to the 30-yard line before setting up a field goal to go up 13-10 at halftime. Still a 3-point game for Michigan, and that's Blake Corum out of the backfield, not able to get a lot going on the ground, but through the air he's able to get an 18-yard reception for his 3rd catch for 35 yards. This puts Michigan in a 2nd and goal, where they're looking to take a 17-13 lead, and they will have it with a touchdown catch from Christian Dixon. And you can feel the momentum shifting as Michigan is finding those creaks in the Ohio State defense. But this would give a chance for Kyle McCord to make his name in this rivalry. He takes the snap, he adjusts, and he's able to find his man, and who goes out of bounds, and that's Lorenzo Styles, who had a touchdown earlier in the game, and he's having a really nice game, probably the best of his career, with a 6 for 89 for a touchdown so far. You know, in a rivalry game like this, neither team is going to back down and just give in to the other team, that they're going to have to fight and claw and scrap for every yard and every point at this point, and that's exactly what Ohio State intended to do. 2nd and goal on the read option. That gives Kyle McCord a 3-yard touchdown run, and they take the lead back 20-17 before adding on another touchdown and make it 27-17. 6.5 to go, 3rd down. This is J.J. McCarthy trying to find his man, but this time it is not able to come down by Denzel Burke. He's lucky he didn't get picked on that one. He got 2 hands on it from one of the best corners in the country. 4th down and down 2 scores, and the Ohio State pass rush is too much. He's brought down. That's a turnover on downs, and Ohio State takes over, and ultimately that kind of pressure is what will allow Ohio State to go into the big house and win for the first time in 3 years and get that all sweet revenge on Michigan that they have felt in this new part of the rivalry where they had lost 2 straight. A big win for Ohio State, as they are going to stay perfect on this season, but Michigan, going in the other direction, now takes their 2nd straight loss after losing to Wisconsin last week. They are now 1-2 overall in 2 straight Big Ten losses, and the tenor of both of these 2 teams' seasons seem to be going in opposite directions, as Michigan is now going to need to rebound from this one. Kyle McCord was absolutely fantastic today and showed off why he is a primetime performer and is ready to carry on the lineage of all those great Ohio State quarterbacks, and he has definitely staked his claim today. Next up is a trip to Utah, where they're hosting Boise, and they are already in the red zone on a 3rd and 3 for the senior quarterback, Cam Rising. He takes the snap, he's scanning, and he's trying to find his man, and he does, and that is a touchdown for Jalen Glover. They go up 7-0 early, tack on another field goal to go up 10-0. This is another trip to the red zone for this team, and they are already pouring it on Boise with a 17-0 at look ahead, and they would finish the deal against Boise in a pretty lopsided affair, 54-17. Another big game on the docket is Georgia and North Carolina. Georgia, 0-2 on the season. Are they really going to fall to 0-3 in this one? They're going to have to take care of the Heisman candidate and Drake May as they visit North Carolina in this game. First look we're going to have is in the 3rd and goal for Georgia in the first quarter with under 5 minutes to go from the 4-yard line. They're going to pitch it out, keep it simple. Kendall Milton with a 3-yard score, and they're up 7-0 early on in this one. We're going to take you now where it's 14-0 Georgia. They seem to be rolling, 6 minutes to go in the second. Here's Carson Beck looking smooth, and he does not get the ball there. North Carolina is actually able to get the stop on a 4th and 1 now. That would force a field goal, and Georgia's still up 17-0. North Carolina needing a spark, end of the first half. Here's Drake May, he's scanning, but he gets picked on this one. And it was just not the day for North Carolina in their offense. They looked very disjointed against this Georgia defense that really showed up and exerted themselves in this one. Georgia up 24-0, deep into the red zone on a 1st and goal for this offense. Here's the snap, and that is another rushing score. That would put Georgia up 31-0, and that will seal the victory for them in this one as they get their first win of the season and are hoping that they can now make their claim in the SEC after 2 losses already, but still alive and trying to prove that they have that heart of the champion to propel them forward. Next up, we have Florida and UCF. Florida is one of the more surprising teams in the country as they have taken down some big powers already this season, and they have proven to be a team that is a lot more talented than people had expected. So let's see how they do against UCF in this one, who had a really nice game against Penn State last week. We're at 3rd and goal for Florida, deep in the red zone. They try to rush it, and that is UCF stopping Montrell Johnson short, and that would force a Florida field goal early on. Then in return, end of the first quarter, and UCF and John Reese Plumlee are in the red zone, but this time, DeMarcus Bowman, the Florida transfer, is able to get a rushing score to put them up 7-3. UCF is up 14-3 in this one, 3rd and goal in the red zone, and they are able to not get into their end zone by this time for DeMarcus Bowman, but it does get a field goal for them to put them up 17-3. Next time we see them, they're up 24-3, really threatening to pound Florida out of this one, 3rd and 5. Reese Plumlee looks, and he finds his man on a nice play. Don't know why he was toe tapping in the middle of the end zone, but Alec Holler goes and seals that one to go up 31-3. However, Florida has been so pesky this season, they can't be counted out here. Florida down 2 scores and 3 minutes to go. They get a false start on 4th and inches that is now going to force a 4th and 5 for them. And it was those kind of mistakes that haunted them the entire game, but still, down 2 scores, 3 minutes to go. They need this one on 4th and 5 to try and stay alive. Mertz drops back, throws a deep ball. It's batted away, and UCF is able to seal this one for a 31-17 victory. Big win for UCF. They get an SEC victory after having a tough loss last week that they really hung in there nicely for. And they beat a good Florida team that has knocked off some good teams this season, so I think this is a case of 2 good teams that played each other, and UCF showed the capability to have a nice road win in the SEC, and we'll see if they have any more aspirations of being more than just a spoiler and being an actual SEC contender. Now we have Alabama and Texas A&M at Kyle Field. Alabama coming off their loss to Florida State last week, and Texas A&M has had a couple of nice, easy victories, so we'll see where these 2 teams are at. We take you this one with A&M up 10-0, and the freshman Ruben Owens gets into the end zone, and that puts them up 16-0, and Bama is definitely on alert, but they are able to get a couple of scores, get back in this one, 3rd quarter, finding Ja'Cory Brooks, and that puts them up, and they would be up for good after that one, as Alabama would be able to seal the victory behind Jason McClellan, who had 26 carries for 220 yards, and really carried them on the ground in this one. Now we have rivalry action in the Cy-Hawk game between Iowa and Iowa State at Jack Trice Stadium. This one had many more fireworks than I expected from the offensive perspective, so we'll take this one to 1st and goal for Iowa State early on, and they're able to have a nice off-tackle run for Jarrell Brock, and that puts Iowa State up 7-0. Then Cade McNamara leads his team down the field in response. He takes a nice short drop back and able to find his man Brody Brecht for a 4-yard touchdown reception, and Iowa ties this one up at 7 early on. Then Hunter Decker says, "Not so fast, I have some more in my tank here." 2nd and 3 for Hunter Deckers, takes the pressure, able to release the ball and get the ball inside the 10-yard line on a nice throw to Dimitri Stanley. That would give Iowa State a shot, 2nd and goal in the red zone for them. Hunter Deckers, left-handed southpaw look, and gets his man Deshaun Hanukkah. That gives Iowa State a 14-7 lead on a 9-for-10 start for Hunter Deckers in the rivalry game. Iowa now in the I formation, surprise, surprise, but Cade McNamara is able to dish this one off. And it's Caleb Johnson, who's in the next line of great Iowa running backs, is able to find the end zone, and that's a 14-14 game. But still in the first quarter, Hunter Deckers, shotgun snap, looking, scanning, throws a nice deep ball all the way down the field, and this one is picked. Iowa gets the defensive stop there and is able to take some momentum back from Iowa State after they had been cooking early on. And this Iowa offense stayed hot, still under center, still eye look. They're going to hand this one off, and now this touchdown is to Jizwan Patterson for a 3-yard score, and that'll be a 21-14 lead for Iowa. And they get another stop, and they're still coming down here at the end of the first half, trying to go up 2 scores. Under center for McNamara. He's going to get this ball handed off, and that's another score for Caleb Johnson, and that would be the difference here, as Iowa would use that momentum from the first half, lock them down in the second half, and Iowa would take away a big 2-score win in a rivalry game, as Cade McNamara gets a signature win in his Iowa career. Did I say rivalry? That means it's time for Texas and Arkansas in Arkansas, as these two teams square off as Big 12 opponents now. Arkansas's already up 7-0 in this one in the first quarter. Quarterback Quinn Ewers for Texas. Trying to lead his team down and get a tying score, he dumps it off to Casey Kane, who is able to get that yardage on 3rd down and get them a 1st and goal and get them close to the end zone here. Still a shotgun snap coming for Ewers. He fakes the handoff and takes it himself and really bullies his way into the end zone. And that's something we did not see a ton of last year, just using the power to push himself to the end zone like that. Now, one of the guys who really does that well is KJ Jefferson. He fakes the handoff, and he is able to find his way into the end zone and give Arkansas a 14-7 lead. At this point, Texas finds themselves down 21-10 and a 3rd down near midfield. Big spot for them, still in the first half, but needing to reclaim some momentum. Ewer is able to throw this ball down, and he finds his man, Jordan Whittington, for a massive catch, outstretched arms. What a beautiful reception that was, and sets Texas up in the red zone, where Ewers is able to find his man, Casey Kane, and make this a 21-17 game. And a quick stop for Texas means they are back in the red zone, 20 seconds left in the half, down by 4. What are they going to do? They're going to hand it off to Robinson, and he is able to bully his way into the end zone to give them a lead at the half. Now a pivotal point for Arkansas in the 4th quarter with 6.5 to go. 4th and goal, down by 10. They need something big here, and that pass is batted down and a turnover on downs, and Texas takes the ball back over. And that would be enough to seal the victory for Texas as they get a road rivalry win and keep their hopes of some bigger national aspirations alive with this victory over Arkansas, 34-24. Last game up today is between Colorado and Cal. I thought it was important that we go and take a first-hand look at what Deion Sanders is doing with these boys from Boulder and seeing just how much this team has changed, and what better way than to see them against an old conference foe. Cal is now in the ACC and Colorado's still in the Pac-12, but still a lot that could be gained from seeing this one. Quarterback Ben Finley in for Cal, former NC State quarterback, on 4th and goal, able to dish it out, and Byron Cardwell is able to get a score on 4th and goal to put them up 7-0. Colorado, though, would have a hard time getting going. They're down 23-7 here, but they do get a touchdown from Xavier Weaver to hopefully cut into this lead and maybe spur a second half comeback. But Cal would just be too much for them, honestly. They were a very nice offense that I was impressed with seeing. Quarterback Ben Finley able to find his man on a nice sideline route, and that would propel Cal to ultimately a very comfortable victory in this one over Colorado that I was not expecting after seeing how well Colorado had played. They win this one 51-24 over Colorado, giving them their first loss on the season and moving Cal to 3-0. And elsewhere around the leagues, we have in the SEC, we already saw our game where we lost by 20. Miami is able to be an FCS opponent. Mississippi State beats Auburn. Auburn is not looking good and continues to spiral. Tennessee wins a nice one over NC State by 1 score. Ole Miss beats Georgia Tech. Georgia beating North Carolina. UCF over Florida. And Alabama over A&M. Then in the Big Ten, Notre Dame wins a very nice game over Cincinnati, so that does well for their conference, you would imagine, and that's a team we're going to have to check out in the near future. Penn State beats Eastern Michigan. Iowa over Iowa State. Michigan State over Minnesota looked like a nice game. Pittsburgh gets a win. Wisconsin. Purdue as a winner. Kentucky over West Virginia. Looks like that was probably a very scrappy, weird 27-25 game, but a win nonetheless. TCU gets a win, and they're on their nice track there for their season as the national runner-ups are continuing to plunge forward, maybe not as a national title contender, but still trying to be Big 12 contenders, and everything else looks like business as usual here in the Big 12. No real surprising results to take any kind of bigger picture views on at this point. Then our final power conference look, Arizona State beats BYU, and BYU seemed to be a very nice team, so I think that's a nice win for them and Kenny Dillingham. USC beats San Diego State. Oregon State beats Colorado State. Washington State over an FCS team. Fresno State beats Appalachian State. UNLV beats Central Michigan. Washington beats Stanford, putting up 56 points. We saw Utah destroy Boise State. And then Oregon wins 28-3, so it seems like everybody held serve in the Pac-12. Then next week, you can see that there is no Florida State on the schedule. We are on bye, and we're going to try and recover from our loss to LSU, but some games of interest on this schedule. We'll definitely take a look at NC State and Clemson and Florida and Tennessee. In next week's recap video, that'll be the next video on this channel, since we won't have a main game to go through for Florida State. Thanks for checking this one out. Hope you enjoyed some action-packed games here. I feel like it did a pretty nice job of getting as many games as possible into a pretty short package for everybody to be able to see there. And then watch next week's recap video, and then we'll be back to some main game action against Boston College. Go Noles!